Good morning and welcome to Daily Briefing. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. August 9th, 2026.
Quick check of the weather here in Parker. 67 degrees Fahrenheit and clear skies right now, heading up to a high of 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Low tonight, 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Today we are following major political battles over citizenship and the U.S. Census, a massive shift in leadership at Google AI, and huge moves in the crypto space out of Washington.
There's a lot to break down today, so let's get into it.
All right, turning to U.S. news. We are starting with a story out of Florida that really puts a human face on the current shifts in immigration policy. A pregnant Haitian woman who has spent most of her life in the United States is now facing potential deportation because her temporary protected status, or TPS, has expired.
She literally said, "I've been in this country most of my life." That really highlights the immense legal uncertainties and the sheer human toll when these administrative designations end.
Exactly. TPS is designed to protect foreign nationals from being returned to countries facing ongoing armed conflict, environmental disasters, or extraordinary conditions. But when that status lapses, thousands of people who have built entire lives here suddenly find themselves vulnerable.
Right. And in her case, being pregnant adds another layer of urgent health care and family stress. It raises massive questions about how the legal system handles long-term residents who lose their status overnight.
And this legal uncertainty is leading straight into a much broader federal debate about who automatically gets U.S. citizenship in the first place.
You're talking about the renewed proposals from former President Trump targeting birthright citizenship, right?
Yes, there is a fresh political push to restrict birthright citizenship, which is guaranteed under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution.
Walk me through what is actually being proposed here. How would they even limit something that is written into the Constitution?
The initiative aims to use executive authority to narrow who qualifies for automatic citizenship at birth, specifically targeting children born to undocumented immigrants. It reopens a massive constitutional debate over the explicit language of the 14th Amendment versus executive power limits.
That is going to face immediate legal challenges in federal court. Opponents argue that a president cannot simply override a constitutional amendment through executive policy or federal regulations.
Precisely. It sets up a high-stakes legal showdown over citizenship rights, immigration, and the scope of presidential authority.
Coming up, we are heading abroad to cover military escalation in Ukraine, major census policy shifts, and crucial developments in Middle East diplomacy.
Moving on to global news. Russian military strikes on Ukraine have killed at least 4 people, including a child.
It is just heartbreaking to see civilian casualties, especially children, continue to mount. Where did these latest strikes land?
The report indicates these strikes were part of an ongoing barrage targeting Ukrainian civilian areas, marking yet another escalation in civilian harm during this conflict.
It underscores the continuous threat everyday citizens are facing over there while international diplomatic efforts struggle to find traction.
Speaking of administrative shifts with global implications, the U.S. Department of Commerce has issued a major proposed rule regarding the upcoming 2030 census.
I saw this headline. This proposal would fundamentally change who gets counted and how demographics are tracked across the nation.
Right? The proposed rule seeks to eliminate metrics on undocumented immigrants, LGBTQ+ populations, and racial minorities from the 2030 census.
Wait, so the census would literally stop counting undocumented immigrants entirely, along with dropping data collection on race and sexual orientation? That is a fundamental shift in how federal data works.
It really is. And because census data directly determines federal representation and how hundreds of billions of dollars in federal funding are allocated to states, dropping these metrics could drastically alter funding distribution across the country.
States with large minority or undocumented populations could see massive drops in federal resources for infrastructure, education, and public services. That is going to spark intense pushback from state governors and civil rights organizations.
No question about it. Now, turning to the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has formally rejected a proposed Gaza peace plan.
And he went even further in his official statement, didn't he?
He explicitly ruled out the creation of a Palestinian state for as long as he remains prime minister. He stated clearly, "No Palestinian state as long as I am PM."
That completely stalls current international diplomatic efforts to bring an end to the conflict in Gaza.
It deepens geopolitical friction significantly, especially with Western allies and regional neighbors who have been pushing a two-state solution as the baseline for long-term peace.
Meanwhile, in South Asia, India has delivered another major consignment of aid to Sri Lanka following severe disaster damage.
Yes, India handed over a third consignment containing over 250 metric tons of Bailey bridges to Sri Lanka. This is to rebuild critical infrastructure wiped out by Cyclone Ditwa.
That is part of India's larger post-disaster aid package, right?
Exactly. It falls under a $450 million reconstruction aid package from India to help the island nation recover from the cyclone's destruction.
Coming up, we are moving to India for updates on political unrest in West Bengal and a growing financial crisis hitting everyday households.
Turning to India and Tamil Nadu, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee faced intense local protests while visiting the family of a deceased Trinamool Congress worker in Halisahar.
This worker died while in police custody, correct?
Yes, and public anger over police custody deaths in the state led to local residents protesting her visit, culminating in an attack on her convoy.
And Banerjee actually made a direct public statement about the attack shortly after, right?
She did. She alleged that her vehicle was deliberately targeted near Kolkata, going as far as to say, could have died.
That escalates political tensions even higher in West Bengal, especially with security concerns rising for state leaders ahead of upcoming political events.
On the economic front in India, there is a severe household debt crisis escalating due to instant mobile lending apps.
These predatory microloan apps are catching a lot of vulnerable borrowers in a dangerous loop.
Right? Borrowers are taking on multiple high-interest microloans from these mobile apps, stacking one loan on top of another just to manage existing debts.
That destroys consumer credit health rapid fire. I assume regulators are stepping in?
The Reserve Bank of India has increased regulatory scrutiny on these digital platforms to try to curb the systemic financial risks to households.
When we come back, we will dive into finance and markets, where major crypto legislation is moving through the Senate and Berkshire Hathaway makes a massive strategy shift.
Let's talk markets. The U.S. Senate has taken procedural steps to advance a landmark cryptocurrency regulatory bill right before going on their August recess.
This is about the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, correct? Walk me through what the Senate actually voted on.
The Senate opened the first stage of voting on the Clarity Act to clear procedural hurdles. By doing this now, they set up the bill for a formal landmark vote when they return in September.
That is a massive deal for the digital asset space. If passed, it would establish the first comprehensive federal oversight framework for crypto in the United States.
Exactly. It aims to provide clear rules of the road for market participants, exchanges, and institutional investors who have been asking for regulatory clarity for years.
But while Congress works on long-term oversight, security vulnerabilities in crypto infrastructure are still being actively exploited right now.
Yeah, a critical zero-day exploit just hit BTC Pay server. Attackers exploited a flaw to compromise credentials and drain funds from connected Bitcoin Lightning Network nodes running LND.
That is huge for anyone running payment infrastructure on the Lightning Network. What are operators supposed to do?
Urgent security advisories are urging all node operators to update immediately to patch the vulnerability and block unauthorized remote access before more funds are stolen.
Moving over to corporate finance, we have a major shift at Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett's designated successor has officially started spending that massive cash pile.
For years, Market watchers have wondered when Berkshire would deploy its huge cash reserves. Now, the successor is actively deploying capital into new investments.
That marks a distinct shift in investment strategy for the conglomerate, signaling they are seeing buy opportunities in the current market environment.
Meanwhile, a political crypto project linked to former President Trump is facing ethics scrutiny over its funding sources.
According to reports, a Trump-linked crypto venture received a $100 million investment from a business executive who has a history of financial regulatory red flags.
Right. The $100 million cash infusion raises significant questions regarding ethics, transparency, and foreign or regulatory influence in politically affiliated digital asset projects.
Finally, down in South America, Brazil's central bank is taking aggressive action to curb capital flight through digital assets.
Brazil's central bank ordered crypto exchanges to enforce a mandatory 24-hour delay on international crypto transfers over $10,000, as well as high-risk transactions.
A full 24-hour hold? That is going to slow down international cross-border liquidity significantly for Brazilian traders starting in 2027.
That is the goal. Regulators want that buffer window specifically to fight financial fraud and prevent illegal capital flight out of the country.
Coming up, on the tech side, executive turmoil hits Google's AI team, critical software flaws are exploited in the wild, and NASA pulls off a miraculous space engineering feat billions of miles away.
On the tech side, we have a massive shakeup at the highest levels of artificial intelligence. Demis Hassabis is stepping down from his executive leadership role at Google's AI division.
Demis Hassabis stepping down? That is huge news. He has been a dominant force in shaping Google's entire AI strategy. Why now?
The transition comes at an incredibly competitive, high-stakes moment for Google as it races against competitors in frontier AI development. His departure creates an immediate leadership void at a critical junction.
That is going to raise huge questions about Google's strategic direction moving forward. And while tech giants shuffle leadership, security researchers are warning about a critical zero-day exploit that is active right now.
Yes, a maximum severity zero-day SQL injection vulnerability in Metabase business intelligence software is being actively exploited in the wild.
What kind of access does this flaw give attackers?
It allows attackers to gain full administrative access without any authentication at all. If an organization uses unpatched Metabase software, an attacker can completely compromise the application and exfiltrate corporate data.
That is about as bad as it gets for enterprise software. Organizations need to patch that immediately.
And Metabase isn't the only enterprise tool under fire. Security researchers also found a flaw in Atlassian's Rovo AI assistant.
How does that exploit work?
Through indirect prompt injection, attackers can trick the Rovo AI assistant into exfiltrating private corporate data from Jira and Confluence directly to attacker-controlled external servers.
Wow. That exposes the real-world security risks of hooking AI agents straight into internal workplace tools like Jira and Confluence that hold sensitive corporate data.
Absolutely. And in the remote management space, Enable has issued a second round of urgent hotfixes, Hotfix 2, for its N-Central remote monitoring and management tool.
Threat actors have been actively exploiting N-Central to gain persistent access to client networks, right?
Exactly. Hackers are targeting these centralized IT management platforms because a single breach lets them compromise downstream corporate clients. Enable is pushing hotfixes to cut off persistent attacker access.
On a broader technological note, the Wall Street Journal published a fascinating piece analyzing what they call Move 37 moments happening across the AI industry right now.
Move 37 refers to those moments where an AI system demonstrates entirely unexpected, creative problem-solving that human engineers never explicitly programmed or anticipated.
Like when AI reaches a solution that seems alien at first, but turns out to be brilliant.
Exactly. The report highlights that this phenomenon is moving out of lab experiments and suddenly happening everywhere across mainstream commercial industries, accelerating AI capabilities far faster than predicted.
Speaking of rapid AI capabilities, researchers used an AI model trained on 9 trillion genomic building blocks to design 16 novel viruses that have never existed in nature.
That is both incredible and deeply terrifying.
It demonstrates the insane power of AI in biological design and synthetic biology, but it opens a massive, urgent debate around global biosecurity risks.
Right. If an AI can generate functional, non-natural viral DNA from scratch, biosecurity controls are going to have to evolve overnight to prevent dangerous misuse.
On a much brighter scientific note, NASA just completed a brilliant deep space maneuver to extend the life of Voyager 2.
This spacecraft is currently flying over 21.37 billion kilometers from Earth in interstellar space.
21 billion kilometers away. How do you even patch or manage power on a probe that far out?
NASA engineers successfully executed a clever power management adjustment, shutting down non-essential backup systems to conserve micro levels of power.
That brilliant maneuver prolongs the operational lifespan of Voyager 2, allowing it to keep beaming back unique interstellar scientific data back to mission control.
It is mind-boggling that hardware launched decades ago is still transmitting science from outside our solar system.
Coming up, we shift to sports and culture, featuring a practice field brawl in the NFL, an emotional Hall of Fame announcement, and a record UFC submission.
Wrapping up with sports and culture, the Las Vegas Raiders have suspended quarterback Kirk Cousins and pass rusher Max Crosby from team drills.
A quarterback and a star pass rusher getting suspended from team drills? What happened?
They got into a physical altercation during practice. The team stepped in and suspended both of them from drills to cool down internal tensions as they gear up for the upcoming NFL season.
Practice heat getting out of hand. Meanwhile, in emotional sports news, iconic former San Francisco 49ers running back Roger Craig made a poignant announcement during his Hall of Fame induction speech.
Roger Craig revealed that he has been diagnosed with vascular dementia, but he delivered a powerful message to the crowd, stating, "This diagnosis doesn't define me."
That takes incredible courage to share on a stage like the Hall of Fame. It brings renewed national attention to cognitive risks and long-term brain health for professional football players.
Absolutely. Moving over to Broadway, legendary composer Andrew Lloyd Webber expressed deep frustration on the closing night of Cats, the Jellicle Ball.
He actually said he was gutted and warned that producing shows on Broadway has become financially unsustainable.
Right. Skyrocketing production costs and high operational overhead are making long theatrical runs almost impossible to turn a profit, creating massive headwinds for live theater.
And finally, in the UFC, David Sokold secured a massive victory at UFC Fight Night.
Sokold submitted Mateusz Gamrot in the very first round with a decisive submission hold.
That is a statement win for Sokold in the lightweight division, locking up a major stoppage early in the fight.
From major legal and political shifts to historic space achievements, today's news reminds us how quickly technology and policy are reshaping our world.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.